first. So we'll make a start. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And tonight we're going to be talking about going west, sailing to Australia. I'm currently up in Fiji on my own boat at Ngawi Marina, having a lovely time up here. And I know quite a few of our people on the Pacific Rally at the moment are planning on heading to Australia. And we've got a few others who are joining us just for that leg into Australia as well. So we're going to talk tonight a bit about how we can help you head to Australia and what some of the fabulous things are that you can see and do when you get there. So hope you enjoy. Please feel free to type any questions and comments and stuff as we go in the chat box at the bottom, and I can address those questions and things as we go along or at the end. So my name is Vicky Moore and my company is Island Cruising. We've been running rallies up to the Pacific for the last 41 years. I bought the business in 2021 and also the Down Under Rally, which is the Australian version of the Pacific Rally in 2023. And we've combined that all together into just one big Pacific grouping. We cover off mainly Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, Australia and New Zealand. That's kind of our patch. And we have lots of information that we can share with you throughout this part of the world. And so if you hear of Down Under Rally, which is a brand that's been around for a while, Down Under Rally is now Island Cruising. It's part of our group. My name's Vicky, as I mentioned before, and I'm delighted to be sailing with the rally this season on my own boat up here as well. In previous seasons, I've been flying in and out and sailing on various other boats and things. And on my boat in 2024, last year, I wasn't very well. So it's nice to be here in person this year and really getting to enjoy everything that's going up here in the Pacific. So I'm here currently in Ngawi Marina in Savu Savu. So if you're around and you want to catch up and chat about anything to do with sailing through the Pacific and onto Australia, I'd be very happy to catch up. One of the things we do is work really closely with the local officials in all the countries, including Australia, but also all throughout the Pacific, including biosecurity and customs officials, and just making sure that everyone is understanding each other a little bit better from both the cruising and also the officials' perspective. So I've really learned a lot over the years as to what challenges the officials are having with yachties, and that enables me to sort of better understand, but also better inform people as to why people are wanting various bits of information and why things are so important as you cruise through the Pacific. Unfortunately, some yachties, obviously, hopefully not most of us, are trafficking drugs through the Pacific as well. And so we've found in recent years the officials are cracking down a lot more tightly on the movements of yachts through the Pacific. And so we work quite closely with trying to obviously ensure that the people on the rally are doing the right thing and not looking like they're up to no good as they go along. So we run a few different options for people. We have groups departing Australia, heading up to New Caledonia and Vanuatu, groups sailing from New Zealand up to mainly Tonga and Fiji. We also pick up all the international cruisers departing French Polynesia and heading west. And we encourage them to either join us and sail south to New Zealand or continue west to Australia. And the choice is really yours. And this is a picture of our tracker of all the boats that we've got connected with us on the Pacific Rally, scattered all throughout the Pacific. It's not really a rally like the Ark or the Oyster World Rally or anything like that. It's super flexible and people are able to pick and choose their own dates and destinations, and we help support you with all our information and knowledge and things along the way. So you might have seen some of our flags up flying around the Pacific. This is up in the bar in Ngawi Marina, and there's also a 2026 one there. I need a new photo to show that one. So as I mentioned before, we do lots throughout the Pacific, and there's lots of different options just depending on whichever way that you are heading, and you can even wait and decide later. You don't need to decide now which way you're going. The information that you step into includes all the details for all of these places. So tonight we're going to be talking about our package for going west to Australia, some tips for sailing through the Southwest Pacific, places that you might like to visit, cultural considerations, avoiding trouble, biosecurity formalities, and what to see and do once you get to Australia as well. And as I mentioned before, it's super flexible. You can have different dates and destinations. You can pick your own itinerary, and we'll help you, keep you informed along the way with all the latest news and events, give you all the correct information about formalities and the documents that you need, save you lots of money on your biosecurity clearance in Australia, which is a really important one I'll talk about later. Ensure you're understanding all the local cultural protocols and rules throughout the Pacific. Save you a lot of amount of time researching things all throughout the way, and we'll get you some great discounts at various marine trades and marinas through the Pacific and also into Australia. In fact, you can quickly recoup your rally entry fee by taking advantage of all the inclusions, and we'll connect you with everyone else heading in your direction and support you when things go wrong. So if you want to join us, our package is 690 New Zealand dollars, which is about 400 US or 350 euros. And if you don't join us, that's absolutely fine as well. Hopefully you get some ideas of some of the things that you need to research yourself to get into Australia this season. So why would you go to Australia? It's a fantastic sailing destination. You can explore by sea or by car. There's world-class marine facilities. You can either park up the boat and stay put or go home, or do some cruising along the way. It's a fabulous place to do some repairs and refits on your boat. And of course, easy access back to the Pacific again next year, or of course onto Indonesia, which a lot of people like to do as well. This is just a bit of a geography lesson for you to sort of show the movements of all the cruises through the Pacific. So if you're up here in the islands already heading west, a lot of people arrive into Bundaberg up here north of Brisbane, and we'll talk about that a bit more later on. Of course, you can cruise up and down the east coast of Australia here and down to Tasmania. And if you haven't seen enough of the Pacific yet, you can either cross the Tasman Sea and join us again to sail up to Tonga and Fiji next year from New Zealand, or depart from the Gold Coast and head up to New Caledonia and Vanuatu again next season, or of course cruise up through tropical North Queensland and into Indonesia the following season. The choice is yours. Yeah, lots to do there. So manaakitanga is a Māori concept in how communities care for each other's well-being, and it's often a sign of respect for the hospitality, and hopefully you've experienced a lot of that through the Southwest Pacific as we go along, and a lot of that has to do with being a good guest as well. It's really important to us that you guys are all on board with being a considerate cruiser, and that is basically about smiling, respecting the culture and the environment and the people throughout this part of the world, so that we continue to be warmly welcomed along the way. And so that's something we really encourage all of our rally participants to do the right thing when they're cruising through the Pacific. So tip number one is to take your time. And obviously, if you're coming from French Polynesia and planning on heading through to Indonesia, perhaps in one season, you're only going to be able to skip through some of the highlights along the way. People spend season after season in the Southwest Pacific, and often people say to me, circumnavigators and people say this is the best part of their circumnavigation. So my tip number one would be to take your time, and whether that's doing a couple of seasons or even 3 or 4 seasons around the South Pacific, we can help you plan your itinerary and ensure that you are able to maximize your time in the places that you visit along the way. It's clean, it's spectacular cruising grounds, excellent marine facilities, lots of territory to cover. You guys are all here already, so I don't need to sell it to you. You know how amazing and special it is. So the Southwest Pacific season is May to October in the tropics, and then, which is obviously our southern hemisphere winter, and then in our summertime, South Pacific cyclone season runs from November through to April. And many insurance companies require you to be south of a certain latitude by November or December to sort of avoid the cyclone season, and then you can start heading north again over April. And of course, it's a great time to be visiting New Zealand or Australia because it's our summertime, and hopefully you'll get some nice weather down in these places as well as you cruise along. And this is a bit of an infographic of cyclones throughout the Southwest Pacific and the various tracks that they've taken during that November to April time. So you can kind of see why insurance companies require you to be south of that latitude to try and avoid being in this part of the world during cyclone season. That's not to say that people don't spend their time up in the islands. We've had people over the last 5 years that I've been running the Island Cruising Rally successfully cruise and enjoy summer seasons up in the islands as well. So the choice is yours. It sort of depends on your level of risk and your insurance company requirements and things like that as well. So tip number 2 is learn about your destinations, and we'll make sure that you don't miss out on any of the best anchorages and sites along the way. We'll keep you in touch with current and local information and correct information all throughout the way as well. And we can save you a huge amount of time on researching, just making sure that you, yeah, don't miss out on any of the cool places along the way. So, if you're starting and joining from French Polynesia and cruising west, we do also include in all our content information about arriving in Cook's, Tonga, and Fiji along the way. If you're already up in the islands in Fiji or Tonga and heading west, we have lots of information as well about Vanuatu, or the arrival protocols for arriving in Vanuatu. We get some great discounts on the rocket guides, which are fabulous cruising guides for experiencing Vanuatu and New Caledonia in this part of the world, and really useful information there. And you can access all of our rally resources. So we have folders on the website covering off all the different countries throughout the Southwest Pacific, including all the current formality, documentation, and the correct things that you need to do on arrival and departure, just to save you having to trawl through all the websites and find it yourselves. We have a webinar as well where we sort of talk through some passage planning for Vanuatu and New Caledonia and the other islands as well, which you can tune into and just learn a bit more about those destinations as well. Of course, one of the amazing things that people like to go and visit in Vanuatu on their way through is the volcano in Tanna, and it's something that I'm going to head off to with myself in the end of August with my crew. I've been here before. It's absolutely terrifying. It's very dangerous, but it's quite spectacular and amazing thing to do. There's not many places in the world where you can actually go and stand on the rim of a live erupting volcano and peer into it. So that's often high on the agenda for many cruisers, but just be aware it is a very dangerous thing to do. And if you've got kids with you, just want to make sure that you've got a very close hold on them as well. There's not much in the way of health and safety in Vanuatu. We also get some great discounts at Port Vila, Yachting World Port Vila, which are fantastic. They're under new ownership there, and lovely, lovely people who look forward to welcoming you. There's so much to see in Vanuatu. You really can't do it justice in just a couple of weeks or months even. I know Jamie's there at the moment and has been cruising through there for the last couple of months. So I'm sure many of the people who are up in Vanuatu at the moment can vouch for what a spectacular place and what interesting cultural things that you can go and visit as well. So for example, the Pentecost land diving is on from April through into June, July kind of time, because that's when the vines are at a certain elasticity. So unfortunately, you've probably missed that for this season, but another great excuse to come back again next year. But there's heaps of other festivals on throughout Vanuatu throughout the season. This is the Rom dance, which has just happened, but I'm hoping to get there in September for another event, which if you're interested, I can give you some more information about as well. The locals are super welcoming to cruisers. They really want you to come and experience and enjoy their culture, and they'll really make you feel welcome. And we've got some fabulous local contacts there who can help you with repairs, fuel, tours, information, vegetables, fruit, you name it. There's some lovely people throughout this part of the world who really want to make you feel welcome when you come and visit. So, New Caledonia is next on your way to Australia, and this is often where people kind of stage themselves before they go and sail to Australia. It's a fabulous country that deserves a whole season in its own right. Most nationalities only get a 90-day stay in New Caledonia and every 180 days, so you sort of need to get your timing right there as well to go and visit New Caledonia. I've sailed in New Caledonia twice, and I'm hoping to go back again this year as well. We're actually planning on trying to get a clearance for the boats on the Rally to arrive here in the Loyalty Islands in Uvea, which is a bit of a nicer trip from Vanuatu. It's normally the only port of clearance is Noumea, so you sort of have to sail straight through these islands to get into Noumea and then back out again to get to the Loyalties. But we are planning on hopefully flying all the officials out here to a special rally clearance at the end of September. So if you're interested in that, let me know. It'll just be for the boats on the rally, and I haven't got the pricing for that yet. We've got the permission, but not the price. So we're just working on that. Hopefully that I'll get that this week. But again, the Rocket Guide's a fantastic resource for cruising this part of the world. If you get a great discount, but if you're not on the rally, I highly recommend you buy these as well. And we've got a great agent. This beautiful Clementine here is our Noumea Yacht Services agent, and she also gives people on the rally a great discount, and she can help, particularly if there's any language issues, for obviously French speaking, help you out with repairs and clearing in and out and that kind of stuff. She's really wonderful, and this is her sidekick as well. So amazing chandleries in New Caledonia, honestly, probably the best chandlery in the Southwest Pacific. These guys will also give you a great discount if you're on the rally. So it's really some good information on our website about New Caledonia as well, if you're planning on stopping and cruising in there. Fabulous food in New Caledonia, like the cheese and French wine, French cheese and French wine, and patisserie and everything like that is fantastic. So really worth going and just eating your way around New Caledonia. Some spectacular cruising there and their incredible lagoon as well. We've had some of the boats on the rally in New Caledonia for the last 2.5 months who've just been cruising around and really, really enjoying the places that they're visiting. We're also going to have an information session with a few of the marinas and yards from Australia are going to fly out to Noumea early October, and we'll be doing some sessions with them. They're going to do a few fun social things for us there as well. So it's something to look forward to if you're joining us. And I know that New Caledonia has had its issues with political unrest in the past. This picture here was from when I was there in 2024, and the big riots and stuff broke out, and we managed to reroute all the boats on the rally through to Vanuatu. Thankfully, this season everything's been a lot more smoother. But there is things that happen in the Southwest Pacific. We get tsunami warnings, earthquakes, volcanoes erupting, protests, and bits and pieces like that. So if you join us, we'll keep you informed and obviously be your advocate if you do end up getting tangled up in any of these natural and political disasters along the way. It was pretty interesting time driving to the airport when I was there in 24, and I think I was I was definitely on the last plane out of there for quite some time actually. So I was pleased that I got out of there when I did. And there's a few sort of political things in New Caledonia, but thankfully, as I mentioned, everyone's been very warmly welcomed this season over there, which is amazing. Tip number 5 for cruising the Southwest Pacific is that Big Brother is definitely watching you, and I really highly recommend you keep your AIS switched on the whole time that you're cruising the Southwest Pacific. You are being tracked and very carefully as well, I've found out. Do not stop in any islands before you've officially cleared in or out of the country. You need to report any suspicious activity. These countries have got really huge maritime zones that they're trying to protect and protect their people from drug trafficking and things like that. In Fiji this year, we've had quite a few of the rally boats have been boarded and searched, and things have gone relatively well this season. But if you are boarded, make sure that you understand what your rights are in terms of being searched and questioned, and I can advocate on your behalf if you have any bad experiences as well. But so far, touch wood, this season's been really, really good. It's also really important to do some research and respect the cultures that you're going to visit along the way. And that can be like, for example, doing sevu sevu in Fiji, understanding where the fishing zones are, where you can and can't fish, where the marine reserves are, what to dress when you go ashore, and just for understanding and being respectful of local cultures and protocols. And that will ensure that all cruisers are warmly welcomed and continue to be welcomed in this part of the world. So, yeah, we will make sure that you understand that. And if you aren't with us on the rally, then I highly recommend you do a lot of research before you go to these places. So sailing to Australia, as I mentioned, most people will congregate in Noumea and then wait for a weather window to cross through to Bundaberg, which is the most popular port of arrival. I'll talk about that a bit more soon as well. But we do have people departing from Port Vila. Some people head away from Fiji and head straight there as well. We do a passage planning webinar and talk to you about some of the hazards to avoid on the way, but also weather routing and tips and things like that to watch out for. There's a few weather phenomenons in Australia that you need to be aware of. But if you are coming through from Vanuatu, just be aware that Chesterfield Reef is closed. It's a marine reserve. It's entry by permit only, and you must not stop there. The French do have a permit system that you can apply for, but in my experience in the last 3 or 4 years, we haven't been able to get a permit to stop at this place. So just please do not stop at Chesterfield Reef. So if you're sailing from Noumea through to Bundaberg, it's about 770 odd miles to get there. It's the most direct route. It avoids most of the hazards that you need to be aware of along the way. And arriving in Bundaberg is a really nice, easy, wide open entrance to get in. And the people there are very used to working with small vessels as well for clearing them in and out. If you're going to come from Vanuatu and head around the top, you can come around above New Caledonia and then above all the reef systems there to get into Bundaberg. So just do a bit of passage planning, or we'll tell you about that if you join us as well. But we do lots of planning sessions on this, lots of webinars and notes and reminders and checklists to make sure that you've ticked all the boxes before your arrival. We also have a crew seeker service where we can hook you up with crew if you're wanting so many extra hands to come with you on the passage. And we have a Rally WhatsApp chat group where you get current and correct advice. And if I don't know the answer, I know who to ask to find out. It's a great way of staying in touch with others who are heading your way. And we, of course, we've got our Predict Wind tracker where you can see all the other rally vessels and get a discount on weather subscriptions as well. Tip number 8 is understanding the weather. Obviously, our season in the Pacific runs until the end of October. Cyclone season starts from November to April. El Nino this year, of course, is going to make things a little bit different. We're not entirely sure how that's going to work out for yachties. But summertime in Australia is a great place to come and cruise this southeastern coast of Australia here. Departing from New Caledonia, getting across to Brisbane, you're in the southeast trade wind belt as well. So it's not quite as a technical passage as it is to getting to New Zealand, and usually takes most of the boats sort of 5 to 7 days to get across at a max. You need to keep an eye on the Cape. There can be really big thunderstorms off the coast of Australia, and we do include weather routing for people departing mid-October and going into Australia. If you are heading further south, you need to watch out for the east coast lows, or they also call them southerly busters, and we'll give you some training on that too. So it's crucial to get your weather routing right to make a nice voyage, and we do a lot of talk about the weather, just making sure that you understand the weather patterns in this part of the world, and also for when you arrive in Australia as well. There's a few things to watch out for. Just need to do your homework. We get weather routing from Bob McDevitt for the groups, but we also work with John Martin, who does a one-on-one service with Ocean Tactics, and he'll give you a discount. And also with Bruce Buckley is another Australian weather router. So if you'd like some one-on-one advice, we can hook you up with those guys. Or if you'd like the rally group advice, then we give a general service for weather routing on that passage as well. So on Passage, you get daily weather updates and obviously email updates with anything on the way as well. We also work with Peter Mott from Passage Guardian, who provides a great service for tracking the vessels along the way. And if you have an HF radio and it extends that far, you might even be able to tune in to Patricia and David at Gulf Harbour Radio. They mainly look after the boats coming to and from New Zealand, but they can sometimes connect with boats across heading to Australia as well. They're a lovely couple. If you've got HF radio, that is. So there's a lot of different ports of entry on the east coast of Australia. Up north, you've got Cairns, Gladstone, Mackay, Bundaberg, as I mentioned, is the most popular one. Brisbane, Southport, Coffs Harbour, Newcastle, and Sydney to choose from. As I say, most people choose Bundaberg for a number of reasons, and we'll go through that shortly. There are very strict biosecurity regulations for arriving in Australia, and the biosecurity officers there charge their fees by the minute. Well, actually, 15-minute blocks. And it can be costly if you're not well prepared. And we'll give you lots of tips on how to prepare your boat and save money on the biosecurity clearance. So that includes biofouling as well this season. strict biofouling rules, and we'll give you all the up-to-date advice, including a webinar on what they're expecting to happen with biosecurity and biofouling on arrival, including a template you can use to record your biofouling management plan. If you're not a New Zealand or an Australian citizen, you will need a visa to enter Australia, and it's worth applying early before you arrive, but not too early because your visa starts from the date that it is issued. And so we'll give you lots of tips on how to go about this. There are a couple of different visas that you can apply for, and it depends on what your plans are when you're in Australia, but just be prepared to get a visa, and obviously we'll give you lots of tips on which one is going to be the best one for you and how to go about it. International vessels visiting Australia get a control permit, which is a 12-month stay, and it can be extended for a maximum of a year at a time, up to a maximum of 3 years. Australian vessels returning to Australia also need to be re-imported, and this is a bit of a process for Australian vessels. We highly recommend that you engage a customs broker for the Aussie vessels to help you through the paperwork, because you are actually bonded in port until that paperwork is completed, and we'll tell you more about that as well. We do have a customs broker called DASMAC that can help you through that process, and they're experts in going through all the paperwork and documentation. So many insurance companies require cruisers to be south of a certain latitude from November to May during the cyclone season, and many marinas in Australia, in fact, just about all of them in Australia, require vessels to have at least third-party liability insurance of 10 to 15, even up to $20 million Australian, including salvage and wreck removal. And if your current insurance policy doesn't include that, then we can help give you a top up to that insurance, or you can speak to your current insurer and help ask them to extend your cover a little bit further. But if they won't do that, we do have a solution for you where you can top up your current policy with the required amount of liability cover to meet the insurance requirements for most marinas. We'll give you all the options for which yard or marina to book into and the best marine trades in the country. We recommend that if you're doing a major refit that you book in early. It does get really busy over the summer season, and we get some fantastic discounts at a variety of different yards throughout the country. So it's well worth booking in advance with that. And of course, we're always on hand providing advice and support if you have any questions or problems whilst you're in Australia. I'm always on hand to help out, and obviously provide advocacy as well if you have any issues as well. And we do a weekly members email with latest news, upcoming events, connection with the New Zealand and Australian cruising community, and special offers from all our partner businesses. And of course, also introduce you to some of the local cruisers as well. We've got lots of Aussies on our rally at the moment, and Kiwis heading in that direction as well. Our website contains all of the documentation you need, as well as heaps of other information about cruising up and down the west coast of Australia as well. So that's something that you can tap into. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, Bundaberg Port Marina is the closest port of entry, and it's easy access, no bar crossings or reefs to negotiate. A super friendly team. Their customs and biosecurity officials specialise just in small craft clearance, whereas many of the other ports, the officials are people that are used to dealing with big ships, which of course can make things a little bit trickier when they're doing the biosecurity clearance, for example. Bundaberg's got great facilities, a hard stand where you can leave the boat on the dry if you wanted to leave your boat out of the water while you head home for a while. And they're a great gateway for cruising the rest of Australia, and they do some really excellent discounts for our rally participants as well. As you can see here, it's a nice, easy, open entrance to get in and out of Bundaberg Marina, and it's really well marked with lights a long way out as well. This is Brett and Donna, who are working in the marina, and they're very keen to welcome you to come and visit their special part of the world. They've got great facilities, a beautiful hard stand, travel lift, and long-term dry storage, which is basically the best option for leaving your boat on the hard in Australia. They basically buckle them all down with these concrete blocks that are all in the ground there, and most insurance companies will accept Bundaberg as a place to stay the boat, leave the boat. They offer some great discounts, 15% discount for the first 2 weeks, and also stay pay deals on the hard stand and stuff as well, which is worth doing. We've got a great chandlery there. And of course, rum. Of course, we all love a bit of rum. So Bundaberg Rum Distillery is in Bundaberg, well worth a visit. But they've also got some really interesting Aboriginal culture. They have festivals and things on arrival. They've got turtles, great restaurants and facilities there and stuff as well. So it's really worth spending some time in Bundaberg. If you'd rather go into a different port, you've got Mackay, which is a bit further north, and that requires a little bit of careful navigation to get into via the Great Barrier Reef. It's just a little bit of a trickier, more technical route to take. Brisbane is also a really interesting port to go to. Rivergate Marina is the marina where you do your clearance. It's close to the international airport. It's a really bustling city. It does require a navigation up a 50 nautical mile busy shipping channel to get into there. And then Southport, the Gold Coast, and beautiful inland waterways. The boat works, but it does require a bar crossing to get in there, and I can show you a bit more about that. Further south is Coffs Harbour, another lovely town, midway between Brisbane and Sydney. Another beautiful place to clear in. Newcastle is a commercial port, but also a port of entry, and Sydney is a stunning harbour for sailing, but it also can be really busy with ferries and other boaties. So if you're going to decide to call into Brisbane, it does, as I mentioned, it does require quite a technical route through 50 nautical miles of busy shipping channel through a commercial port to get up to the river into Brisbane Rivergate Marina. It's totally doable. People do it and clear in and out of there, but you just need to be prepared for that on your arrival, which can be a little bit challenging when you're tired as well if you're short-handed. Rivergate Marina also gives a 10% discount to boats on the Rally, which is a really amazing thing. And you literally, if you're staying at this marina, you're practically right in the heart of Brisbane City, which is a really awesome place to be. Southport, which is down on the Gold Coast, it does require a bar crossing. As you can see, you got lots of waves and stuff out here. There's a really interesting video on YouTube of this catamaran surfing in over the bar. It's tricky if you kind of arrive here and the bar is too rough to go, because there's not really anywhere else you can kind of easily bail out to without sailing another 100 miles. And it's well worth trying to time your arrival with the tide. So yeah, that just requires a little bit more technical sailing as well, and the bar can be quite rough. If you do decide to arrive into Bundaberg, you can leave your boat on the hard stand, long-term storage, or in the water. You can fly from there or drive or train from Brisbane to fly home. It's a great gateway to sail south and explore Gari, Fraser Island, South Queensland, Sydney and Tasmania. Or you can leave the boat, return next season and sail north up through the Great Barrier Reef, or join us again and head back up to the islands on next year's Pacific Rally. So if you decide to arrive at Bundaberg and then sail south to Sydney, it's approximately 740 nautical miles, but there are lots of nice, interesting places to kind of stop and cruise along the way, and I'll talk a bit more about those now. Gari Fraser Island is one of the largest, or in fact, I think it might be the world's largest sand island. It's a really interesting place to go and visit, and we'll also give you a copy of the Cruising the Queensland Coast guidebook with the Go West package, and you get to then sort of use this amazing resource to access some of the really great anchorages and stuff along the way. But Gari has got dingoes, which is interesting. A lot of Aussie people go over there and like to do four-wheel driving around all the sand island and things like that. Some really cool trucks out there as well. They've got this incredible freshwater lake, which is right in the middle of the sand island, and it's freshwater, which is kind of random, but it's really cool. And then you get further south to Brisbane, Scarborough Marina. Richard and his team at Scarborough Marina are really great supporters of the rally, and this is a lovely place to also park and leave your boat over summer, or stop and stay a while and be part of a really nice beachy community in Brisbane. This is Richard, and he'll be hopefully coming and joining us in Noumea and talking about his marina and why you guys should all go and visit. He's also got a really good boatyard there as well. And then further south in Rivergate Marina, they do discounts as well. And they also have John Hembro, which is, he used to own the Down Under Rally. He's now one of their dock hands there and a really good friend of mine. And he loves to welcome all the rally participants in there and help you get tied up and welcome you to Australia and share all his fabulous knowledge that he has of this part of the world. There's loads of other marinas up and down the coast as well, that you can tap into to start sailing further south. But a lot of people spend some time around beautiful Brisbane, which is a fabulous cosmopolitan city with great food and wine and lots of nice places to cruise there. And then down to the Gold Coast, which has got all these amazing inland waterways where people like to go and explore. And of course, whilst you're there, you can go to the boatworks in the Gold Coast, which is literally like Disneyland for boats. They've got something like 7 different travel lifts and trailers to lift boats out, over 100 different marine trades on board, free laundry and showers, cruiser barbecue areas, 3 cafes and restaurants on site. It's just the most amazing place, and it's our departure point for those that are heading back up to the Pacific in May next year. We've got great brokers as well. So they've got the Yacht Sales Co. We've also just signed up another broker called Yachty, who are based on the in Australia as well. So if you're looking at selling your boat, these guys are definitely people to sort of talk to. And as you head further south, we've worked with the Iluka Clarence River people who, this is another wonderful place to go and cruise up the river. And there's a resource on our website, the Clarence Cruising Guide, to give you some ideas of some of the places to go and explore there. It's a really spectacular place to go and visit. Coffs Harbour is also, again, further south, and it is also another official port of entry if you wanted to arrive there. And then again, Port Stephens, another beautiful beachy place to go and visit. And then Pittwater and the Hawkesbury River. It sort of reminds me of Vava'u if you've been in there in Tonga this season. It's sort of like bush-covered hills just pouring down into lots of different bays and things like that, and loads and loads of different places to go. A really popular place just north of Sydney to go and explore. You could easily spend a few weeks in there. We had a holiday there a few years ago. Loads of different places to go and cruise in. It was amazing. Kangaroos, of course, you'll see plenty of those, and some of the spectacular bays and inlets to go and explore. Aussies love their boating, and you'll meet plenty of them along the way. And this is the Newport Arms in Newport, and another famous kind of eatery overlooking the water, which you'll get to go and visit too. In Pittwater, we also work with DBY Boat Sales, who are based in Pittwater, and they've are able to help you store and present your boat there as well if you're looking at selling. And then, of course, further south, Sydney. This is a place that people often dream of wanting to sail under the Sydney Harbour Bridge and see the Sydney Opera House. Perhaps be here for cruising around. There are many bays, and there's some amazing little anchorages throughout this incredible harbour and waterway. Of course, if you're there on Boxing Day, you get to be there for the start of the incredible Sydney Hobart race, and it's a spectacular sight to behold. And of course, on New Year's Eve, they do an incredible fireworks display, and you can either be anchored out here in the chaos or book into a marina berth that's overlooking this amazing fireworks display. Everyone loves being there for that. Um, yeah, so that kind of gives you a bit of an idea from Bundaberg down to Sydney. So there's lots of different things you can sort of almost day sail or overnight sail between all those places. But just further south of Sydney is a place called Shellharbour Marina. This is a new marina that's just been developed in the last few years, and they've got some incredible facilities there, hotel, sort of housing development and marina as well. And as you go further south, you can call into Jervis Bay, which is gorgeous, and really beautiful cruising and white sandy beaches and things. And then down into Eden, I'm sure if you watch the Sydney Hobart race, you've probably heard some of these places, which is where people will bail out to into Eden once they've broken the boats and stuff like that. And then, of course, down further into across Bass Strait into Tasmania. And there's some fantastic cruising in Tasmania. Tasmania is a really well-known place for yachting and boat building. I'm sure many of you have seen this if you've watched the Sydney Hobart race as well. But beautiful bays and inlets to go and explore in Tasmania. The yacht club down there does a rally every couple of years as well, but you can have a look at their route and decide whether you want to go and cruise some of these amazing places. And next year in February, the Wooden Boat Festival is something I highly recommend anyone goes to at some point in their life. It's an amazing display, I think, of over 400 wooden boats that are just absolutely gleaming and varnished, and certainly well worth a visit if you're in Australia next year. That's every 2 years and it's on next year. From there, you can work your way back north again. So from May onwards, you can either head back to the Pacific and join us again on the Pacific Rally to New Caledonia or Vanuatu. You can cross the Tasman, come back across to New Zealand if you've decided you haven't seen enough of that. Or alternatively, you can cruise up in tropical North Queensland and beyond and carry on to Indonesia. And in tropical North Queensland, you've got the Whitsundays. They have the amazing Hamilton Island race week, which we've got some of our members are over there racing in that in August, which is an amazing event. And the Whitsundays are a fabulous place to go cruising. I highly recommend it. You might have all seen this Whitehaven Beach, which is one of the favorite Australian photographs, to go and see this incredible, beautiful beach. And then through the Coral Sea, and there's loads to see up in the Coral Sea, including the Coral Sea Marina. I was talking to these guys today. They've had quite a few of our boats cruising through there on their way north into Indonesia, and a lovely place to stop in on your way. And they also do a great discount, 10% discount for those on the rally. And we have other guidebooks that we can get you discounts on, including the Coral Sea Islands and Marine Park. There's really so many different places to go and explore out here in all these reefs out through the Barrier Reef and beyond. So yeah, back to the geography lesson. Obviously, Australia is 770 miles into Bundaberg from New Caledonia. From there, you can either join us again next season, cross back across the Tasman about 1,000 miles to come back up to the islands, or carry on north into Indonesia. The choice is yours. So you can either choose to sail on your own, spend lots of time researching everything that you need to know and potentially missing the best bits, potentially inadvertently upsetting the locals or missing out on the great deals and discounts that we have, getting caught up with the high biosecurity fees, or you can join us for just $690 per vessel, and we'll provide you with everything that you need to know, as well as some great discounts along the way, and of course lots of information for your adventures in Australia. So there's heaps of different inclusions, and my guidance and support at any time you need help whilst you're there. So I recommend, if you are planning on joining us, to register early. I know we've got some people on this call who are already on the Pacific Rally. They're already in this group. But for those of you who are up in the islands who aren't part of our group at the moment, you can join us and start tapping into all that information now for all the other islands as well before you get there, so that you can learn more about Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Caledonia before you get into Australia as well. So it's worth joining early to make the most of all of that information. So that's it. I've spoken for 3/4 of an hour without taking a breath. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and happy to take any questions. I can't see anything in the chat box, but if you'd like to ask me any questions, please go ahead. All right, okay. No, that sounds great. Well, I'm happy to end it there, and if you'd like to contact me directly with any questions that you might have, I can certainly happy to answer anything that you've got. And for those of you who are already on our Pacific Rally, all of the Australia content and information will be accessible really soon as we go along and get a bit closer to our arrival in Australia. So thank you so much, everyone. Really nice to see you online, and thanks for your time, and look forward to being in touch. Cheers. See
Thanks,
ya.
Vicky.
Thanks, Jamie. See ya.